Watching last year's video before filming this one was definitely not one of your smartest decisions, but what's done is done now, so hello future me, how's it going? Much like we did last year, we wanted to wrap up Vlogmas this year with a letter to future us. Yes, we will still be writing the one that we typically put in our yearly collections journal, so that is to look forward to as well. I'm looking forward to reading this year's one, even though I totally snooped early and you fully called me out on it in the last video. So given the fact that I'm now watching this at the end of 2025, I know you snooped, don't even lie. We all know you did it. Just like we have in our typical written letter to ourselves, in this video we're going to have what happened this year, the good, the not so good, what did we learn about ourselves this year, and what are our hopes for next year. Obviously, by the time you're watching this, you already know if those hopes happened, but that's the last section, so let's start at the start. A very good place to start. To help us out, you have your 5-year journal, which you have again kept up with this year, which we are very proud about. And knowing that we find it really hard to keep up with like any new hobby or any new commitment, the fact that we're almost 2 years done with this and have every day filled in, quite an accomplishment. Even though we definitely know how we want to change it for next time we set one of these up, but you're not gonna get to that until like 2028, so we've still got some time to use this one. In terms of the exciting stuff that happened this year though, you started a podcast, which was kind of a big deal because I know we were very apprehensive about whether people were even really gonna care about us running our mouth for however long. Notably, there is somebody else you're running your mouth with, so that's kind of nice. It's nice to have at least one part of our creative and work process done with another person, because other than that, you're kind of a one-man band. Hopefully, by the point of watching this, that has changed a little bit, but again, that's future hopes. Starting the podcast has been a really rewarding experience, and one of the things that really surprised you was the number of people who said that they enjoyed it at Go Wild. Knowing that the community on the podcast channel isn't as big as the one you have on your regular channel, it's kind of cool that that is how some people know you specifically, and it just felt kind of special that that was a highlight for them as well. At this point last year, you were celebrating your first car purchase, even though it wasn't actually for you, and now at this point this year, we get to celebrate that we did buy a car for us. Her name is Claire, she is beautiful. Hopefully you are still treating her the way she deserves to be treated. I know you are, because we're very precious about Claire. Around the March period, we had 2 reels on Instagram in particular completely blow up, which led to a lot of growth and also a lot of not so nice comments from people who don't really know you. I know at the time that was kind of hard to deal with, and although you are the kind of person who doesn't necessarily care so much about what other people think, there is still part of us that wants to be liked, and we want other people to appreciate the stuff we're putting out into the world. So to have as many Nelly naysayers as we did have on that, I know that that was painful, but I also appreciate that now we can look back on it and know that what they had to say didn't really matter. If that situation ever comes up again, we're kind of better prepared for it. So, growth moment. In April though, you took your first solo international trip, or at least your first solo international trip that you kind of think counts. We went to Go Wild in Texas. We got to meet up with the JashiiCorrin community, which was so much fun. I don't know if we're going to Go Wild next year, but if we do, I hope you do another meetup to meet your community members because it's always great to see them in person. April was actually an exciting month in general because we also had the cocktail night, which was based around books, getting everybody to be a little bit more creative about making drinks and nibbles and theming it around one of their favorites. And we also surprised Monica with an ice cream cake. And I think that was kind of the start of realizing that maybe gift giving is our love language, though that has very much been solidified during the Christmas period. May brought us one of the biggest accomplishments of the year though, which was actually getting your Epic Goals course made, released to founding members, and then in June, releasing it to the public. I know that was really scary for you because when you put so much time and effort into something, you want it to be received well, you want people to enjoy it. And as said, that was definitely a highlight of the year. It felt like one of the most rewarding things you did this year. Knowing that you're helping people accomplish things that they haven't been able to do just by themselves. And getting to know more about your community members as well, as they share what they're working on and what they're using the course to help them accomplish. You formally started your newsletter this year, and it's been really nice to see people join up to that and get value out of what you're sharing. I know it's a little bit different to what you share on the channel, so that has been very much a, oh gosh, are people actually gonna like it? Is this the kind of content they want to see from me, but getting emails back from them saying how the tips have been helpful, how they're applying it in their daily life. Again, it's just a really rewarding moment, so I hope you've kept up with that. Thinking about June though, we had the launching of the Bujo Buddies book club space, and it's been really cool to see people join your reading community, especially as someone who a couple of years ago did not consider themselves to be a reader, and this year you read like 48 books or something like that. Like thinking back to 2019, Jess, who would have read like 2 books or something and felt very accomplished, to be pushing 50 is quite a jump, so I hope you're proud of yourself. And I hope you're still reading. July was another exciting one, mainly because it was Rachel's birthday month, so we had a lot of different things going on. We had our colouring date, where we just sat and watched Disney movies and did colouring in colouring books. Notably, it was not your colouring book, it was Rachel's colouring book because you don't own any, but it was very nice of her to lend you one of the pages to colour in. We had the Martinborough trip, featuring a kind of disappointing lunch, but then also Rachel's murder mystery event. I think that 2024 has very much been the year of getting into those kind of like themed or novelty events, like the themed cocktail night, the murder mystery, we had the art and wine night for your birthday, which was such a lovely surprise. It was really nice to feel like you had other people who were trying to take care of you. As someone who typically puts a lot of time, effort, and energy into making sure that other people are having enjoyable events, whether that be for their birthday or whatever else, it felt very special to have somebody else do that for you. That was October though. In August, we had kind of a bittersweet moment in that it was your last time in your childhood home. Bitter in the sense that you know that you're not going to be back in that space again, which feels kind of strange, but then sweet because it means that your parents were moving to New Zealand and they have successfully moved into their new home, and it is so nice to have them in the country with you, to be able to just like drive up the road and go see them. I hope we're making the most of that opportunity, otherwise mom will definitely be angry at us. In September, we got to celebrate Emily and George getting married. You also celebrated your 12-year anniversary. I hope that you're planning your wedding. We meant to do that this year, it didn't happen. And talking about marriages and engagements, Matt and Jonga got engaged as well. We're really excited to be celebrating their wedding, hopefully in the year coming up for when you're watching this. 2026, if you're not doing very good with the math. It's very hard to speak in future tense when I'm in the present. Anyway, as said, in October you had your surprise birthday party. We also had Favourite Things Day. We also did the Sydney bookshop hop, and I hope you have another friend vacation planned. It was really nice to take an overseas trip with your friends because you haven't really done that before without it being to a family member's house. Felt like another travel milestone moment. November is what we're going to consider the official start of asking for help, given that that was one of your goals this year, and we hired a cleaner just to clean the bathrooms and the kitchen, but still, that is at least something that is off your plate. And off Vogel's plate. November was also the month that the channel surpassed 100,000 subscribers, which is actually just a mind-boggling number of people. I mean, some of those accounts are probably the same person twice, but still, to think about that many people in one space is kind of ridiculous. Of course, in December, we then got our play button, which is very shiny, and you won't let Vogel touch it because he will leave fingerprints on it. In fact, I'm now quite worried about leaving fingerprints on it myself, so we'll just put that to the side. You kind of knew it was gonna happen at some point, or at least you expected that it was gonna happen at some point, but having it actually happen, that felt quite surreal. Like, we can kind of think back to 30,000 and thinking, okay, should this be the point where I quit my job? Should I go all in on YouTube? Should this be my thing now? And then when we did quit our job, thinking that the rug was gonna get pulled out from underneath us and that everybody was gonna be like, oh, she's awful, she's a fraud, we should all leave or something. I know it's effectively just a fancy certificate, but it's pretty special. December, of course, brought about Vlogmas, which I think we have tackled in a much better way this year, even though we didn't necessarily get our videos done as in advance as we did last year. But last year we were also going away for Christmas, so you kind of had to get them done ahead of time. At the time of filming this, it's the 30th of December, though last time you filmed this video, it was the 15th of December. And looking back at how you were feeling then, you were so burnt out. You were done, honestly. As I'm pretty sure you said in the video, you could have taken a nap for like a month, so it's really nice to be getting to this point of the year, this point of Vlogmas this time around, and not be feeling quite as drained, I suppose. Like, yes, you're still tired and you're kind of excited for Vlogmas to be over so that you can have a break, but we just don't feel as overwhelmed and tired and done with it. You still have enough fuel in the tank to feel like you can tackle January without having to go into hibernation, which again, yay for a growth moment. Of course, there were some not so fun things that happened in the year, as there always are. For instance, having a lot of sick time. You were sick a lot this year. Like getting back from the Go Wild conference, that was a big one you noticed. You were so sick. You were also sick for, I'm pretty sure, the majority of August, and also a decent chunk of November. There was just a lot of sickness this year. I know in part that was probably because we were feeling a bit run down. It may have also been because you weren't necessarily as strict about not seeing people who you knew were sick, thus leading to also becoming sick. Not a great idea. We of course also had the not so fun happenings with the reels blowing up and people who don't know you making assumptions about the kind of person you are, and also just a whole bunch of other negativity around it, but as said, I think that we responded to it well. We didn't let it get to us too much, only a little bit. Younger us certainly would have let it get to them a lot more. Another not so fun thing is having somebody close to you receive an upsetting diagnosis. And I know that we partially processed our thoughts on that, but I don't think you have in full. It's probably something that we need to spend a little bit more time thinking about, in a healthy way of course. But I think we're ignoring confronting our feelings on that because we're not sure what it's going to bring up. While that's what's happened in the year though, what did we learn from it? I think one of the biggest things that we learned was you're not necessarily that great at taking action if you don't have a plan in place, and although this is something we already knew this about ourselves, it is a lesson that we have to keep relearning. For instance, one of your goals this year was to get more help on the channel, like having an editor or something like that, having somebody else to kind of take some of the workload off of you. That didn't necessarily happen, but I will say that we did feel less stressed this year about the amount of work we had to do. I know that in part that was because you set better boundaries with yourself in terms of how much you were going to put out on the channel. For instance, the first, 3 or so months of the year, you went down to 1 video a week rather than 2 to make sure that you had some bandwidth to work on your course. That was a really smart decision, and I know it was really challenging for you because it effectively feels like cutting your output in half, which then leads to the worry about if I'm not putting out as many videos, am I going to be connecting with the same number of people? Are you going to have the same amount of income coming in because of that video content? When this is your livelihood, which it is, you have to worry about those kind of things, and those can be really concerning. Like, am I going to be able to pay my loan repayments if I'm not putting out enough content? Although it felt daunting, it was a little bit scary, I'm really glad that you made that decision for yourself, and I hope that you're making decisions like that in future. We've said it before, and we'll say it again, you are allowed to take breaks. You're allowed to rest. In fact, you need to rest. You need to take breaks. It's kind of like one of those things, if you don't shut down your computer every so often, it will shut itself down for you, and usually at the most inconvenient time possible. I don't want the reason that we are taking a break to be because we got so burnt out that we literally couldn't do anything else. I'm very excited about the year ahead and making sure we're taking better care of ourselves. Another thing that we learned this year is that we're kind of at the point where we just don't want to deal with people who can't be relied on. It's frustrating when you have people in your life who time and time again kind of let you down, or don't do what they say they will, be where they're supposed to be at the times they say they'll be. And while part of this has got you considering how reliable you are as a person, we think we're doing okay in that respect. Definitely could do a little bit better, but we're doing okay. There are certainly some people in our life that we think are there more so out of habit rather than us actively wanting them to be there. Like, we find ourselves spending more time kind of complaining about them, I suppose, or getting frustrated about their behavior, even though their track record suggests that this is the type of person they are. You know who we're talking about. We don't really need to say anything else in that respect, but I'm hoping that you've either found a way to communicate this with them, let them know about your frustrations, and then hopefully seen some improvement, or just decided that maybe it's time to let them go. It's kind of that idea of identifying our energy vampires, the people who kind of like suck the energy and enjoyment out of our lives rather than bringing into it the stuff that we want, filling our cup in terms of energy, enjoyment, and fun. And it can be really tough when they are a little bit of both. You find that the majority of the time they are a bit of an energy vampire, but then when they're around, they're a really good time to be with. I think we're just coming to realize that maybe the payoff isn't actually worth the struggle, and it's okay to let those people go if we have to. Looking ahead to 2025 though, I am so excited about the year ahead. I just have this feeling that it's gonna be awesome, and obviously at the time of watching this, you know if it was awesome or not. I'm thinking it's gonna be awesome though. I'm gonna put it out there that it was awesome. I know that there are a lot of things that I want to work on and have hopefully been achieved by the point of you watching this. Things like, making our home space more inviting and more kind of calming to be in, doing better in terms of our work-life balance, making sure we're not working in the evenings. In fact, today, 30th of December, which is the start of your new year because you do cyclic planning now, which was a very rewarding experiment from 2024, but because this is the start of your new year, you are starting what is hopefully going to become a habit of not working in your evenings. Like 6 p.m. or dinner, that's the cutoff, we're not working past then. At this stage, that idea is really daunting because previously you have worked a lot in your evenings. That's kind of been the default, but we want that to not be the default anymore. We want to have kind of more strict boundaries, I suppose, around when work time is versus isn't. While I'm excited about the prospect of it, I am still a little bit nervous that I'm just not going to get as much done. In terms of other goals though, to support that idea of making sure we have more time off from work, you want to do things like hiring an editor. You want to get a community manager for your Discord community because we love that space, but it takes so much time, effort, and energy to make sure that everything's running smoothly. You have goals related to your health, making sure that you're taking care of yourself both physically and mentally. Yes, the time off from work is part of that, but there are also other aspects that go into that. We know this. We've made the plan because, as said, having a plan means we're more likely to get the actions done that we want to. We want to have more fun, like doing a getaway reading retreat with our friends. We want to take an international trip with Vogel. We probably want to go wild, but we'll see if we make it there. And we definitely want to improve our systems to reduce friction in our life so that we can make more time for the things that actually matter. While those are more so goals, I do of course just have some hopes for you in 2025. Things that I hope we've taken action on, even if we didn't set them as formal goals. I hope you're prioritizing your work in a way that actually aligns with what you want to achieve. I hope you're not letting other people's poor planning become your emergency. I hope that you're not just seeking out good advice, but also actually applying it to your life. We're very good at learning from advice, but not necessarily applying the advice. I hope you're being honest with yourself about what you want and letting your actions align with this. And I very much hope that you're celebrating your progress along the way because you're not very good at that at this stage. So hopefully by the time you're watching this, you're paying more attention to those tiny wins as well. I thought I was doing a lot better this year at not getting all emotional, but I seem to have jinxed it. But my biggest hope is that 2025 Jess had more balance in her life. Yes, she still got her work done. Yes, she still had amazing output on the channel and for the newsletter and for all of those things, but it didn't come at the cost of everything else. I'm really excited for 2025 and I hope you're excited for 2026. I just have this feeling that 2025 is going to be a great year and I hope that you made that happen. And if by chance someone who isn't Jess is watching this, I just want to let you know that my hopes for you, they're the same as my hopes for me. I hope that you're taking care of yourself. I hope that you're finding time to rest. I hope that you're not letting energy vampires in your life suck up all of your joy. It can be hard to let them go, but I hope that you do that for yourself. You deserve to have people in your life who bring out your best and lift you up. I hope that you're not just setting yourself goals for the new year, but making plans for them and taking action on those plans. You've done hard things and you can do hard things. So even if your goals seem kind of daunting at this stage, I know that we're going to make them happen together. I hope that you know how valued you are and that you're worthy of the happinesses that you're hoping for yourself. I hope that you stay as part of our community because we appreciate having you here. I appreciate having you here, and I definitely hope that you're excited about the year ahead as well. Wishing you a very happy and safe and healthy and awesome new year. But for now, thanks for watching.